welcoming the Carters, all three of us, to our first in a series of cooking videos in the Carter household. We're cooking with the Carters. Champagne toast. Mr. Carter, here's yours.
Thank you, dear.
Cheers.
I just love how y'all keep these champagnes going, like the Neelys.
The Carters love their champagne.
All right, so Mrs. Carter, what will we be preparing today?
Today's recipe is a family favorite. It's a tradition from my mother when she was cooking early on, so before I was born. So this is a 40-year-old recipe. I understand it's a well-known recipe throughout other peoples and other families and other cultures.
You just say before you were born, and it's a 40-year-old recipe.
But even since people. Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm not sure we could do this.
Cut! Oh.
So this is Grandma Lean's famous pork chop casserole. And it's been in the family for years, and it's basically a rice and pork chop casserole flavored with onions, tomatoes, and sage, which we happen to love. I like using brown rice, so that's what we've always done. What Donald likes to do, it makes so much sense, is we really enjoy it when we brine our pork. So this mixture is
brown sugar, peppercorn, and kosher salt. And water.
Does anybody know where the soap is? Oh.
The soap has unfortunately disappeared.
Ah, here it is.
Oh! We found it.
Okay, so I'm going to wash my hands because I'm going to be pulling those pork chops out of that brine. And it's slept in there overnight?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been in there for approximately 24 hours.
Okay, so I'm going to be pulling it out. And what I like to do when I fry pork chops, do you see how they get kind of milky color? They're not quite as pink, a little softened. That's from the brine. It pulls a lot of the blood out, which ends up making the meat stay moist because blood actually is drying, turns out.
We don't like that word.
No. Moist. I'm gonna just pull these three out for now, and I'm gonna cut the a little bit more of the fat. Nowadays, butchers cut a lot of fat off of our pork, especially, and also our beef. But I like using the fat that comes with the pork to fry it in. So I usually take little sections of it without cutting into the meat and leaving a little bit of fat still on the rib itself. So I'm going to cut some of this off and use it to fry the pork chop. Okay. This guy doesn't have much, so we'll just leave it like that. The next thing you want to do is you want to pat these dry. I like to use paper towels because, again, it's pork and you don't have to wash it. And I just, what do I do? Pat these guys dry. Let's take them right over here.
Excuse me.
Pardon me? So, Sam,
Yes.
when you pat your chicken, you pat your meat dry, it helps sear, get a brown surface when the meat is dry. They'll often tell you, especially with chicken, when you're going to barbecue or pan fry. So this is what patting means. Okay, now the next thing that I like to do, and I'm going to do this ahead, is we're going to salt and pepper the meat. I grab a snippet of, I like to keep my salt in a bowl. It's just really easy to grab. And then if you stay up high enough, you'll sprinkle it more evenly and a little bit lighter sprinkles. So that's what I like to do here. Like that. And of course, I personally, we love pepper. I like to use black pepper. If you're going to see it and you don't want to see it, you use white pepper. And white pepper can actually taste a little hotter. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah. Okay. Turn these babies over. And we're going to pat this side a little bit dry again. You want to do the salt? Yeah. Have fun. I'll have a little more sip of my champagne. Your dad and I picked this up when we went to Boulevard. We sat at the bar and watched these guys just cook one thing right after another, and they were using the hot oven. And that's when you saw them sprinkle the salt like that on high. Cool. So I'm putting the fat. Can you turn it off? So the oven has completed the last set of 3, and now we're going to just sprinkle a little paprika on top of the pork. Gives them a nice little color once they've browned. And I also, personally, I like lots of sage. Dawn got some really nice sage here for us. It wants to be fresh, cause fresh dried, not too old. Sometimes sage doesn't get used up fast enough, and then it gets dry and boring. It's not very interesting. But I'd rather rub that in. Sage can also come, if you prefer, it can come in a powder, and that might make it a little bit easier for you to work with. And it'll just sprinkle on top. It'll be a little bit less powerful too, because it's a powder and because it's a little bit drier. But, this is my personal preference. I hope you like it. So I've got the little bits of fat. They're just kind of melting in here. And what they're going to do is melt a little bit, not much more, I'm almost done. But then I'm going to add a little olive oil because I don't quite have enough. You just want to get your pan medium high, not quite smoking, but almost smoking. And a little bit of olive oil. Remember, olive oil will burn at a lower temperature than pork, which is why it's nice to have that little bit of pork in there. It means you can get the fat high enough without it burning to have that extra bit of fat, pork fat. And I usually just leave them in there. Okay, then you have this one wonderful thing where you try to figure out the best pattern, right?
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle. So I love that sound, that sizzle. And I place them and press them in. I almost guarantee you the pan isn't going to fit. Yeah. We'll do what you can. Remember, the meat's still cold, so you can get your hands in there without burning. So, Dawn, should I do 4 or should I do another pan of the 2? What would you like? One thing to know about searing meat to brown, if it's for a stew, if it's for a lamb chop you want to just eat, you know, when you're done, if it's for a pork chop, to get that sear, you can't have your meat too close to each other. You can't have, this is almost a little bit too close. What they'll do is they'll end up steaming. And steaming means that moisture is slowing the searing down. It gets in the way of the browning.
Probably spread it out a little.
So I think now I'm going to spread these out, thank you.
Yeah,
Because I can, yeah. And that just gives it a little bit more of an opportunity to let that steam escape so that they actually do brown. Browning locks in the flavor. It'll make the meat sweeter. It's just, knowing how to brown meat is, you probably know, because you guys eat a lot of meat. It's really, yeah. And I'm going to turn this up. It is hot enough. We're going to do these other 2 in here, and that'll be fun.